Week 4 of the NFL season is upon us, and of course, I am recording this on a Wednesday. Thursday night football for Week 4 between Seattle and Arizona is almost here, and then we got the rest. We got Sunday and the 2 Monday night football games, and of course, fantasy football, as we always do. This is going to be Week 4, episode 22 for this year, and I can't wait for you guys to watch this one because I have some interesting things with fantasy football I want to show y'all, and I want to see what you guys think about it. But let's get started on today's episode. Let's waste no time. So as y'all know, I did not have an episode last week because unfortunately I was sick and it didn't work out. And by the way, correction, episode 21. So for episode 21, we're actually going to be looking at week 4 and not week 3, but we're going to look back to week 3 and see what had happened, starting with fantasy football. And with fantasy football, I lost again, 107-155. It was a bad matchup. I didn't do so hot. Unfortunately, my opponent had the Vikings defense, which just blew up, and that was such an imbalance. It hurt all the way around. This team was still better overall, and my team just underperformed. It didn't do so hot, so I had to make some changes. I had to make some moves on the lineup. During my time off, I had Tua added, and I dropped JJ McCarthy, and I added the Buccaneers defense and dropped the Rams defense. But for this week, I have 3 moves. Number 1, I got Jordan Love. I switched him out for Tua. Tua's off. Jordan is in because Jordan is playing Dallas, who has the worst secondary in all of football. And the Packers are one of the hottest teams, even with a loss to Cleveland. I believe that that's going to work out, big receiving core that Jordan Love has for him, and a bad secondary for Dallas. It's just an easy pick to pick him up, and he's always been on my team ever since he's been a starter. I want to give him another shot, 3rd year in a row. Let's see how things go with him. The second thing I did was I made a trade where I moved Omarion Hampton and got Javonte Williams. Now, it's more or less bad for me on projection, but Javonte Williams has been playing a lot better, been very consistent. Throughout his games, he's hit double digit in every single one of them. With anything with the Dallas Cowboys, obviously there's a lot of holes in that team, but the running game is a big bright spot that I think is not getting enough credit. Javonte Williams has done a great job. Miles Sanders has been a good number 2, so Williams is on my team. And then the last thing I did was I picked up Quinshon Judkins, or however you pronounce his name, and I moved Joe Mixon to free agency. Mixon has been out for a while. I was hoping when he comes back he's going to have good projections, but it looks like Mixon doesn't have great projections at all, so he's going to move off my team. And Judkins, who started off slow, had a really good game against Green Bay. He's going to be on my bench, and I'm going to see if he's a long-term option. I might be moving with running backs for a while. He could be a big time move. So that's the 3 moves: Jordan Love, Javonte Williams, Quinshon Judkins, or Judkins. I have no idea. Let's look at my lineup. I made a lot of moves for this lineup. It's a very makeshift lineup this week. Jordan Love, of course, is a starter because he's playing against a horrible defense. Then you have, for my running back, Saquon Barkley's in there. Josh Jacobs is in there, also playing against the Cowboys, so that's not going to work out great. Javonte Williams is in there, immediately starting. Projected low in points, but I expect to have a pretty good game. If Micah Parsons and the Packers get going, that could backfire. My 2 wide receivers starting is Tyreek Hill, who's playing against New York Jets on Monday night. And then you also have Jameson Williams of Detroit. Now, he hasn't had too many hot games, but he is a deep threat against the Cleveland Browns. I'm willing to take my chance with that. He could actually be very special this week. And then Cameron Dicker is going to be my kicker for this week. I mean, he's super reliable overall. And then on the opposite end, for the defense, we have Denver, who's playing against a Cincinnati Bengals team without Joe Burrow. Also, another easy pick. The Vikings played against this Bengals team, did extremely well. Denver could do the same thing. That's the lineup for this week, and my opponent is starting Baker Mayfield, Devon Achane, Bijan Robinson, Cortland Sutton, Sam Laporta, Ramondre Stevenson, Keami Fairbairn, and the Philadelphia Eagles defense. I'm projected to win that matchup. Obviously, the early names are really tough. Bijan and Devon Achane, but then afterwards, not very hot, but we'll see how it goes. Hopefully I win. I need to get back up there, get to 2-2, and things will be working very well. But that's enough of fantasy football. Let's get into this week's NFL action. I went 9-7 in my picks this week. Again, like week 2, I went 9-7. Not super hot, but my overall record in predictions this year is 29-19. Not a great start, but with my pick of Seattle beating Arizona, I have no idea how that went. We'll see because this video is coming out directly afterwards. We're going to see how we're going to do this week. It's going to be a little bit of a tougher week, I guess, for football. There's a lot of really not that much interesting matchups overall, and the interesting matchups feel like they're not as interesting as I was hoping for. You'll see what I mean. Let's get into this. The first matchup is between the Minnesota Vikings and the Pittsburgh Steelers, who are both 2-1, and this is going to be aired in Ireland, which is going to be really cool. Early game, of course. I'll try to watch as much as I can, depending on when I wake up, depending on when I go to church, and see how much I can be able to get in there before service. Who knows? The Vikings played so well last week. One of the best teams. I didn't give them the mark. I gave it to the Panthers because they shut out Atlanta, but Minnesota was really close. Minnesota looked really good, even though J.J. McCarthy wasn't starting, but that could be an issue against the Pittsburgh Steelers team, which is watching Aaron Rodgers light it up. He's been doing very well this year. Big game against the New York Jets. They won last week against the Patriots. 2-1. The thing, though, that sways me in this pick is the defense. And Pittsburgh's defense has been underwhelming. The Vikings defense, on the other hand, they've been doing very well. And if the Vikings can continue that, they have all the pieces on offense. Can Carson Wentz put up a good game? Only time will tell. I'm going to take the Vikings to win 27-25. Very close game. I know it's in Pittsburgh. I know Aaron Rodgers has been going off, but Aaron Rodgers in week 2 had a dud. And against a defense that I don't think is as good as Minnesota's. So that, I give the Vikings credit. The Vikings defense is very moving, and I'm going to have them as the winners for this week. Next up, we have the Washington Commanders and the Atlanta Falcons. Washington's 2-1. Atlanta is 1-2. Washington got done with a backup quarterback in Marcus Mariota taking control against Vegas. Very good game for Washington. And again, that high-powered offense is just really telling. A lot of players stepped up in that game, and it was really good for Washington all around. And for Atlanta, arguably one of the worst performances I've seen so far this year. A shutout, getting shut out against Carolina? That doesn't work. And because of that, that already is a tipping balance. Penix didn't look that great. I don't even know if it's going to be Jaden Daniels or Marcus Mariota, but if that defense is going to play like that and the offense did not play very well for Atlanta, give me Washington to win 29-24. It is in Atlanta. Without Jaden Daniels, I think this would be a lot closer than a game against Vegas, but Washington, got to give it to them. That was a good game by the Commanders, and anybody who thinks otherwise did not watch it. I watched the highlights. I didn't really get to watch that game. I had other games on, but Washington played very well. They deserve a lot of credit. So many people stood up, and if that's going to be the case, this is a tough team to beat, with or without Jaden Daniels. Next up, we have the winless New Orleans Saints versus the undefeated Buffalo Bills. This is a very lopsided matchup. New Orleans is still trying to find its identity. It got done getting smoked by Seattle. Seattle absolutely put on a beating. New Orleans, I don't know what it is about the Saints. Their team is just not meshing. The quarterback position is still a question mark. And the offensive pieces, they got a lot of them. It's not coming together, which is just very frustrating. On the other hand, Buffalo is just being Buffalo. Buffalo took care of Miami on Thursday night. They had that big comeback against Baltimore early on in week 1, and then you also had the explosive matchup against the New York Jets. This is so easy, I don't even have to think twice about it. I have an interesting score. I have the Bills winning this one 49-12. Buffalo is just that good, and New Orleans is just that sorry right now. It's a very easy pick, and if New Orleans win this game, even if you have very impressive matchups, I'll give New Orleans the best team if they can beat Buffalo. It feels like another lopsided matchup. We have the 1-2 Cleveland Browns at the 2-1 Detroit Lions. Detroit and Cleveland both had very impressive wins. Cleveland got its first win against Green Bay, a Super Bowl contender. Detroit went into Baltimore in prime time and took care of business. The defense got 7 sacks on Lamar Jackson. What a game for Detroit. This one, though, you think both teams are coming off of big highs? Yeah, Detroit is just worlds better. And if you thought 49-12 was crazy, I'll one-up you. I have the Lions winning this game 59-13. I think Detroit's offense is unstoppable. Pieces all around. You have 2 of the best running backs in the backfield, Jahmyr Gibbs and David Montgomery. And then for the wide receiver room, Amon-Ra St. Brown. You got Jameson Williams. And then for tight end, you got Sam Laporta, an incredible offensive line. And then on the defense, you got a passionate defense overall. Aiden Hutchinson's back, and he was causing havoc in that game. They all were causing havoc. It was a great matchup, and I believe Detroit's going to take that into this next matchup when they play Cleveland. A pair of 1 and 2 teams. You got the Carolina Panthers and the New England Patriots. New England, tough loss to Pittsburgh. They were in that game for the most part. And then there's Carolina, who Bryce Young put on a stellar performance. Great game. Overall, 30-0 over Atlanta. Best team last week. Well, that's who I had as the best team, at least. Carolina's going into this game with a lot of confidence, and New England, home field advantage. This is a weird pick because every bit of me wants to pick Carolina, but I feel like this was a one-game wonder, and I believe New England is actually going to win this game 23-21. There's not a big basis off of it, outside of the fact that I think Carolina has a super high, and then drops. Because the first 2 games, they looked horrible. And I feel like that either they win this game and it was a sign of things to come, or they lost the game and last week was a dud. I'm going to go with the Patriots in this matchup. Next up, we have the undefeated LA Chargers and the winless New York Giants. The Giants have something new that they're pulling up their sleeve. They're starting Jackson Dart and sitting Russell Wilson, who I didn't think really deserved to be sit altogether, but it was clear that that was going to be the case. Well, I guess now that I say I didn't want him to be sat down right now, I guess it makes sense. I think New York has just seen enough. On the other hand, you have a Chargers team that is bordering on pretenders or contenders, because this team has been playing lights out. They have been playing very well. A big win against Denver and a very deserved one. I mean, the Chargers have been looking great all year, and even though Jackson Dart's coming in, he's coming in against a really good defense led by Khalil Mack. So I'm going to take the Chargers big, 31-9. I don't think the Giants are going to do much. I think that we're still in the growing pains. If you are a New York Giants fan, there's still an identity that needs to be found. Obviously, you got Malik Neighbors. There's something nice there, but who knows? Maybe Scattenbo's the answer. He looked really good. It looks like it's really hard to tackle that guy. But otherwise, there's just glimmers of hope versus a team that looks really good. The Chargers, they deserve this one. The next one is between 2 undefeated teams, Philadelphia, Tampa Bay. What a matchup this is, and it's favored the Buccaneers the last few times. Even last year during the Eagles Super Bowl run, Buccaneers crushed them. The thing about this matchup is it's in Tampa Bay, so it's obviously one of those tough ones. Tampa Bay is a tough place to play overall. Tampa Bay this year they looked interesting for the most part. The problem I have with Tampa Bay is they're winning close games when I think they should be winning by a lot. You had a game-winning drive against Atlanta that helped with a missed field goal by Young Hoku. You had a close win touchdown with 6 seconds left to go against Houston, and then you had the field goal against New York, which I don't know how the Jets got back into that game. That's just kind of crazy. And then Philadelphia, on the other hand, has not been playing like Super Bowl contenders, really. I mean, close win against Dallas, kind of shocking seeing what Chicago just did. And then you have a close win against Kansas City, which good win. It was in Arrowhead, so you got to give credit where credit is due there. And then a close comeback win against the Rams, where you needed to block a field goal and take it for a touchdown to win. This matchup is hard, but I'm going to go with the Buccaneers, 31-27. Home field advantage, has had the advantage overall. Baker Mayfield has found ways to win games like this, and I think the Buccaneers are going to remain undefeated, and Philly is going to have a taste of some poor and sour medicine in Week 4. And then now we have a pair of winless teams, the Tennessee Titans and the Houston Texans. Obviously, I'm not going to say much about the Titans. This is a team that just got done being the worst team last year and had the first overall pick. Growing pains. But for Houston, Stroud is digressing hard. I had so much hope for him at the beginning of last year, and now I don't think he's close to being an elite quarterback anymore. He's kind of in Trevor Lawrence, like he's good, he's okay, he's not elite talent like I thought he was going to be. And so Houston is just sitting in this very weird spot. But to be fair, they don't have an offensive line to help CJ Stroud out much at all. But it is the Titans. I don't think the Titans are a really good matchup, and I believe that Houston will win close, 19-17. I just don't think that Tennessee is going to have enough to beat them. I do think they're still trying to figure it out, but Cam Ward has made some interesting moves that I don't like too much. He's not striking me right now as a star quarterback or a potential star quarterback. I'm not seeing it just yet. Next up, we have the undefeated Indianapolis Colts going to LA to face the Rams. This Colts team has been shocking, but Jonathan Taylor has been on fire. He's been having a lights out season so far. Daniel Jones has played very well, surprisingly. Understandably, they don't have the craziest schedule in the world. I mean, easy wins against Miami, easy wins against Tennessee, a good win against Denver, I guess, but Denver, I mean, it's still not that impressive. It's still not that impressive just yet. And for the Rams, you blew it. You blew a chance to beat Philly in Philly. Very disappointing. So I'm not happy with the Rams on that one. Overall, I think Indianapolis has found a formula for winning that could easily get them past teams like the Rams. I'm going to take the Colts to win 26-23. Daniel Jones has been playing very well. Jonathan Taylor has been playing lights out. It feels like this momentum is going to continue, even though you're still facing a very good Rams team. Next up, we have the Jacksonville Jaguars, who are sitting right now at 2-1 versus the San Francisco 49ers, who are currently undefeated. The 49ers is undefeated is probably the more shocking one than Indianapolis with the amount of injuries that are going on with that team. You lost Juwan Jennings. Brock Purdy has been out for 2 weeks. You really only have Christian McCaffrey because George Kittle's also out. And now you have Ricky Pearsall as your number one. It feels so odd, but they are finding ways to win. And now Nick Bosa is gone. This team is, they're held together by toothpicks and gum. It's not looking hot. But Jacksonville, on the other hand, has been looking solid. How solid? Well, I think they have competed very well in many of their games. Obviously, they had a last-second touchdown or a last-minute touchdown against Houston, which that was very nice. San Francisco has a way of the system, and the system works. It works very well. And Mac Jones, the backup, has been playing fairly well for that system. Therefore, you're in San Francisco, or well, Santa Clara, but you're in the Bay. I'm going to take the 49ers to win 23-19. Something about the way that offense is clicking. Something about the way they're playing overall. I kind of want to study it a little bit more because it's interesting. It's weird. They shouldn't be winning, and yet they are winning. The next one is a matchup that should be really good, but are teams that are 1-2. That's the Baltimore Ravens and the Kansas City Chiefs. This matchup is always a prime matchup to watch. Lamar Jackson versus Patrick Mahomes, but something is very off about these two teams. First of all, Kansas City started off 0-2 and didn't look super hot against the New York Giants team they should be really obliterating, in my opinion. Even though I had the score to be very close, that's just how much this Chiefs team has looked very odd. But Baltimore, on the other hand, huge win against Cleveland. Embarrassing loss against Buffalo, blowing a 15-point lead. And then Detroit just destroyed y'all. It was bad. It was a close game, 8 points. But they had no shot. Detroit was just up and down better on offense and defense overall. It was a big win for the Lions and a bad one for the Ravens. Right now, looking at these two teams, the Chiefs look almost unrecognizable. But Baltimore, you can see the wheels can turn at any second, and I don't know when Kansas City is going to put on that magical charm and start winning, but I don't think it's going to be this week. I think Baltimore is going to win 27-20. This is going to be one of those games where Patrick Mahomes just struggles bad, and I think that it's going to take the midway point to see Mahomes start to turn it on, but right now I think that team is just going through it a little bit. I'll take the Ravens to win. Then you got a pair of 1-2 teams between Chicago and Las Vegas. The thing about this matchup is it's not as interesting as most people after, the kind of performances they had where the Raiders just got done getting clapped by a backup quarterback, while Chicago finally got a big win under Ben Johnson over a Cowboys secondary that looks horrible. Not even a recognizable defense to the standard they had a couple years ago. So Chicago looks great going in. Raiders don't look super hot going in, but the Raiders, talent-wise, that's a team that can really put it on certain weeks. And this is going to be one of those weeks where it's going to be super close. But the Bears, they do have a formula, and while it's not the greatest formula in the world, it's winnable. I'll take the Bears 21-20. Close matchup, not that interesting. Give me Chicago like this. We have Sunday Night Football between the Green Bay Packers, who are 2-1, and the 1-2 Dallas Cowboys. The thing is, both teams talent-wise on offense are actually very good. CeeDee Lamb's going to be out for about a month, and that's going to suck. But George Pickens looks like somebody who can actually play very well. And then you got Javonte Williams, who's been playing very, very well for Dallas. Surprisingly, who would have saw that coming? The offensive line looks a little bit better. Not super great, but definitely an improvement from last year. Defensively, the Cowboys are horrible. The secondary is non-existent. non-existent. And the first time I ever witnessed the downfall of the secondary was against the Packers in the playoffs when they absolutely butchered us. 48-32, wild card game. Didn't work out super well. Jordan Love made an impact, and you're playing against a Packers team who has Micah Parsons, the player you traded to them because your owner could not shut his mouth, alienated the guy, did not have great deals for him, traded him to Green Bay, and now he's coming back to Dallas, and he is going to wreak havoc. And with your secondary that is depleted, a front four that can't pressure the quarterback to save their life, this one is super easy. Give me Green Bay to win 27-16. Dallas is going to have their sparks. Green Bay is going to just slowly break them down. I expect a great performance by the Packers, and if they don't show a great performance and Dallas somehow wins, Packers should be the worst team this week. And then we have Monday Night Football's first matchup between two winless teams, the New York Jets and the Miami Dolphins. The Jets are, I don't know what to say about them. They're interesting. They almost had it. They had the greatest block field goal they can imagine for a while, and then gave it up at the end. And then you have a Miami team that was so close to bringing it to Buffalo, and then a pick at the end. Hurts. Tough. 0-3. Not a great team going into week 4 like I thought they could have been. Miami is in trouble, but luckily they have the Jets, who are just a mess. So I'm going to take the Dolphins to win 24-23, and this one is just super simple. If Miami loses this game, seriously, what are they able to do if they cannot win this matchup? And then lastly, on Monday night, you got Cincinnati, who's 2-1 versus the 1-2 Denver Broncos, but don't let the records confuse you. These two teams are polar opposites. Cincinnati's without Joe Burrow and got their butts whipped by Minnesota last week. Denver lost in a close matchup to a very good Chargers team, but Denver is the kind of team I'm looking forward to seeing. Defensively, I like their defense a lot. I think offensively, they have some sparks that are just ready to go off, and you got the perfect matchup, the perfect one. Cincinnati has nothing. They have great talent without a quarterback that almost doesn't work very well. And against a defense with the Defensive Player of the Year and Patrick Surtain and a tough front, I mean, what do you want the Bengals to do? This is the Broncos game all the way. 27-6 is the score I have. I don't see Cincinnati competing much. I think Denver has up and down. Right now, they're a lot better, and they will equal it out and get back to 500. And that'll do it for today's episode. Thank you so much for watching. If this video is not out on Friday, just a little bit of a tough scheduling that I have right now. I'll be able to get it out Saturday, definitely before these games fire up. I thank you guys so much for watching. If you liked today's episode, please leave a like, comment down below, and subscribe. Go follow me on all my social medias. Go comment on my shorts, questions that you would like for me to answer at the end of these episodes. I'll go into them, see what I can do, and then I'll try to answer them going into the next episode. So thank you guys so much. I hope you guys have a great day. Take care, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace out.